Hello everyone, my name is Rajni Jha. Welcome to Drishti IAS. So today we are going to talk about chapter number 4 of Polity. We have already covered 3 chapters so far. Yes, we have already covered 3 chapters so far. Good evening everyone. We'll be starting with chapter 4 today and we'll try to finish it in today's session itself. The chapter is a little larger than the rest of the chapters. And as I tell in every class, I'm going to repeat that. We will be covering whatever is given in NCERTs. We will not be going beyond the bounds of NCERT. We'll try to stick to it. Yes. So could you confirm if I'm audible and visible to all of you? Then we can start the session. There is a question that one of the students asked in the last session in the comment section. I will clear that up as well. But before it, can I get a thumbs up about if I am audible and visible to all of you? Yes, Asif, good evening. Yes. Am I audible and visible to all of you? Can you confirm? All right, great. So we'll start the lecture in another 1 or 2 minutes. Let's everyone else also arrive. And the rest of you who are already in the session, welcome everyone. Send this link to your friends as well so that they can also join us. Yes. Hello, Devansh. Yes, thanks for the thumbs up. All right, great. So before we start with today's chapter, there was a question that one of you asked in the comment section. And as I told you, I always look at the comment sections. The question was, what is delimitation? Now, in the last session, I told you about constituency, that the entire country is divided into smaller geographical areas. And the population of each area is almost similar. This is called constituency. And from each constituency, one representative is elected. That's what we studied in the last class. For those of you who missed the last class, please go ahead and watch that after the session at least. Because every class is interrelated, every chapter is interrelated. If you do not have the basics, if you don't understand the basics, you will have difficulty understanding the advanced chapters. All right, so we talked about constituency in the last class, and I told you that constituency is the entire country is divided into smaller geographical areas of roughly equal population, and that is called a constituency. And from each constituency, one representative is chosen. And I also told you why the population is roughly equal. Why is the population roughly equal? Yes, please tell me. Yes. Hi, Adi. Good evening. Shrisha. Good evening. Vivek, Elvin, Shiraz, and all of you. Yes, welcome to the class. So my question is, this is something we studied yesterday. Why is the population roughly equal in every constituency? Why are we so fussy about keeping the population equal? What will happen if it is not equal? Why should we bother ourselves too much about it? Yes. Thank you so much, Shubham. And for all of you who are joining the session, I would really appreciate if you could like the session also and comment later. I mean, after our class is done, please do like the session and comment whatever you feel like about the session. If you want any improvements, if there's something that you liked, you can always comment in the comment section below. I always read them, and it's good to know that you guys are also interactive in the class and you understand. So it's always nice to know. To maintain equality of vote, almost, yeah, you're almost there. To maintain the value of vote, to maintain the equality of value of vote. I talked about political equality. I told you that every person should have one vote, and the value of each vote should be equal. So the value of the vote of poorest person and the value of vote of richest person should be equal. That is political equality. And in order to maintain that, we make sure that the constituencies have roughly equal population. That's what we studied yesterday. Now, one of you has asked, what is delimitation? It is the process of making these boundaries. I told you these are smaller geographical areas which are called constituency, from which each one representative is chosen. But this process of drawing the boundaries or redrawing the boundaries is called delimitation. Now, why do we need to redraw the boundary? If we have drawn the boundary 1, let's say I have divided this area into these many constituencies, and these are the boundaries that I drew. Do I need to redraw it again after some time? If yes, then why? To do fair elections? Yes, very good, great. Equal representation of people. I repeat the question. After census to make boundaries, why? That is my question. I said drawing the boundary is delimitation, great. Redrawing the boundary is also delimitation, and we need to redraw the boundary after a few years, usually after census. Why is that so? Now here is the part where you'll use your critical thinking. I keep telling you, once you learn how to think, no exam will be a threat to you. You will have a great life skill. Thinking is essential. Critical thinking is an essential life skill. I cannot emphasize this enough. So think about it and let me know. Why do you think we need to redraw the boundary? I've drawn the boundary once. What is the point of drawing it again and again after a few years? Right. See, population is never stagnant, right? It keeps changing depending on the birth rate, death rate, also migration to and from a place, right? Population or demography of an area keeps changing depending on the birth rate, death rate, and migration to and from that place. So if the population keeps changing, and I'm telling you that in every constituency we want the population to be roughly equal, we have to keep redrawing it. Because let's say earlier here 10 people were there, just for example, and here again 11 people were there. But now because most of these migrated to some other area, now there are only 3 people left in this area. So do we not need to redraw the boundary? We will. Now there will be more people, so more geographical area will be included in this area. This is why redrawing the boundary becomes essential, because population is not stagnant, it keeps changing, and we need to make sure that the population in each constituency is roughly equal. Yes, very good. I'm so glad that all of you have answered this. All right, now let's start with today's session. Today we are going to talk about working of institutions. Now before I move ahead, I'll just make this announcement for all of you. For those of you who are new in this session and do not know about it, let me tell you, we have this live session every day from Monday to Friday, 6 p.m. sharp. All right. So today we are going to talk about working of institutions. Now before I talk about working of institutions, let me ask you a question. Let's think about a school. Do you think the principal, only the principal can carry out all the functions? Take admissions, make report cards, teach the students, maintain hygiene and cleanliness in school. Can the principal alone do everything that is required for administration and maintenance of school? I repeat, my question is, in a school, can the principal alone carry out all the functions for administration and maintenance of school? Of course not. You're right. Absolutely. Srinath, Srinivasan, yes, absolutely. The principal cannot do that. Then what would principal do? The principal would hire other staff to carry out the functions so that the duties and functions can be divided and delegated. Principal alone cannot do it. The same happens with the country also. In the maintenance and administration of a country, it is required that there are multiple institutions so that the function can be carried out properly. Right? One person, let's say Prime Minister cannot carry out all the functions, especially in a country as large as India, where we have population of over 1.4 billion. Do you think one person alone can manage everything, the entire country and the administration of the entire country? Of course, it's not possible, which is why we have institutions. So democracy is not just about electing representatives. We have talked about it. It is not just about electing representatives. Once they are elected, they must follow rules, laws and procedures. And all of them, they work through institutions. I'll explain it to you how. They work through institutions, and those institutions make sure that the decisions are made fairly, legally and democratically. Now, what does that mean? Like I told you, one person cannot carry out all the administration of the entire country. So we have institutions, and there are largely 3 main institutions or 3 main organs of the government. What are those? First is legislature or parliament. Legislature makes laws. Now, if somebody has made law, somebody needs to implement them also. For that, we have executive or government. And there has to be somebody who keeps a check, because we have a constitution and constitution is supreme in our country, right? So somebody has to keep a check on these laws that they are constitutional. Somebody has to act as a mediator if there are any conflicts in the country. Somebody has to be there who can interpret these laws to make sure they are constitutional, like I said. So who does that job? Judiciary or courts. I repeat, there are 3 organs or 3 institutions in our country largely. First is legislature, that makes laws, that is parliament. Second is executive or government that implements laws. And the third is judiciary or court that interprets those laws to make sure they are constitutional. And if there is any dispute, judiciary settles those disputes. Now I have a question for you, and that is, I talked about parliament. Who is a part of parliament? Parliament, which of these are the part of parliament? First is president, second is, oh my god, wait. So first is president. This is a question for you, I'm giving you options. Second is state legislature. Third is Lok Sabha. Fourth is Rajya Sabha. Which of these is a part of parliament? Yes. Which of these is a part of parliament? If I talk about parliament, which of these is a part of parliament? Who makes laws? Which of these is a part of parliament? Very good, Ram Kripal. Priya has said Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Ram has said President, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. Okay. Dhruv has said Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Now see, this is where you make mistakes. Normally when we say parliament, we usually think parliament has Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. But you must remember, parliament includes Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha and the president as well. We will talk about this in detail later. But president is also a part of parliament. State legislature is not a part of parliament, but president is a part of parliament. Why is that? See, whenever there is a bill that needs to be implemented, that needs to be passed, bill before it becomes an act, it has to be passed by both the houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So they directly help in making laws, sure. But before an ordinary bill is passed for it to make an act, president's assent is required. Without president's assent, that bill will not become an act. So for law to come into action, we require it to be passed by Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, but at the same time, we also require it to be given an assent by president. So in legislature, that is in parliament, we have president, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. I hope this is clear. Yes. Very good, all of you. All right. So next, let's start with the chapter. Now, this was just the introduction. Now, let's start with the chapter. So, the first part of the chapter is how is major policy decision taken. Now, think about the school again. I told you about the school, that the principal alone cannot do all the functions. But do you think the principal alone makes all the decisions? Of course not, right? The principal would conduct a meeting with all the main faculty members and staff members, and the principal would discuss things, and then a decision would be made. Similarly, in country also, whenever a decision has to be taken, policy decision has to be taken, one person alone does not do that, right? The decision is taken collectively through political institutions and not just by one individual alone. And this part in NCERT has been explained by using Mandal Commission. So Mandal Commission reservation case, I'm sure you must have heard of it. If you haven't, I'll give you a brief about it. So on August 13th, 1990, Government of India issued an official memorandum. Official memorandum or office memorandum is like an official statement or official document where government tells what we are trying to do or what we want to do. So it's more like an official announcement on a paper, right? So the government said that 27% reservation in central government jobs should be there for OBCs, that is other backward castes, and socially, educationally backward classes, right? I repeat, so the government said that 27% reservation in central government jobs should be for OBCs and SEBCs, right? Before this, the reservation existed only for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Now, here the government has only made an official declaration sort of a thing, an official statement sort of a thing, right? But this created a lot of chaos. If you read about it, this created huge chaos because this was a question of merit also. If you keep giving reservation to everyone, what about the merits, right? What about merits? So this was one part only. And then the process involved, first Mandal Commission studied the issue. Then President announced the government's intention that we want to do this. President announced it. Then Union Cabinet approved this proposal. Then the Prime Minister, the then Prime Minister, informed the Parliament that we are going to do this. Civil servants prepared the office memorandum, and finally government officially issued this order. So you can see, for one issue, for one policy decision, there were so many things, so many people, so many institutions at play. So one person does not make any decision, does not take any decision. A lot of institutions are at play. This is what they're trying to explain to you. But does the process end here? No, because up until now we have it included judiciary. So what happened after this? So you can read this. I'll tell you, only one important point is here. I'll tell you in a while. So after this, there was public reaction, huge public reaction. Supporters said that OBCs had faced other backward castes. They have faced historical discrimination. So reservation will give them opportunity to do better, right? Equal opportunity. It will improve their representation in the government jobs. But the people who argued against it said that merit is hugely affected because of this. Merit could be affected. General category candidates would lose opportunities because the more reservation you give to other people, the general category candidate, they keep losing their seats, right? In a way. So it is a direct hit on merit also. And the reservation might deepen caste divisions. We already have caste division in India, and at that time, caste divisions were even profound, very profound. So if we keep giving reservation based on caste, this caste division will keep deepening. So these were the arguments that were given, and there were a lot of cases that were filed in judiciary, that is court, that this is wrong. Because of it, because of those several petitions, there was, in 1992, there was Indira Sahani versus Union of India case. Now this is extremely important for you. You have to remember this. This is what I was telling you when I said that I will be explaining to you in the table also. Yes, please hold on to your questions. I will let you know the answers to your question by the end of the session. Rukaiya ma'am is actually busy. I mean, we all love her. I'm sure you guys love her too, Saloni ma'am. She is a little busy with offline classes, which is why she's not able to take the classes. But I'm sure as and when she gets time, she will come back. So don't worry about it. Relax for now. Try to enjoy the classes that are already there. And if you have any suggestions, if you have any questions, I'm always here to help you out. Okay? How to make notes, I will tell you at the end of the session, because I have already told this to you earlier. Don't worry, Kumar, Krishna, I remember this. I will tell you at the end of the session. All right, let's get back to this. So I was saying, yes, this is a very important case, Indira Sahani versus Union of India case, which happened in 1992. Now here, the Supreme Court said that reservation is constitutional. If you study Article 14, the second part, you will understand that positive reservation, positive affirmative actions is valid in our constitution. So the Supreme Court said that reservation is constitutional, but at the same time, Supreme Court also introduced creamy layer concept. Now, what is creamy layer concept? We remember it like this. So, you know, when you must have seen full fat milk, there is a cream which is always at the top. So this is the population that is on the top of that particular caste. So they are saying creamy layer concept. What is that? The people who are already well-to-do in OBCs or wealthier OBC families, they will not receive this benefit. So the Supreme Court upheld reservation, but said that people who are already well-to-do, who are already well-off, who are already wealthy, will be considered creamy layer, and they will not get this reservation benefit. So this was said by Supreme Court. This verdict was given by Supreme Court in 1992, and in 1993 the government implemented this. So now you can see, for one thing to be implemented, for one policy change, there are so many people, so many institutions at play. So one person cannot make any changes. Are these videos, and say these videos and classes are more than sufficient for your basic preparation, for your foundation. I can assure you that after these videos and classes, you will not have any problem reading Lakshmikant or understanding it, because I'll tell you what happened when I studied it for the first time. I did not understand it quite well. So I realized that I need a foundation, because I'm from a science background. So if you do not have a good foundation, this is what is going to help you tremendously in that. Once you have a good foundation, then you can read any book and you'll be able to understand them. Okay? All right, great. Yes, I try to explain it in in a layman way, as simple as I can without making it simplistic. But I do try to make it as easy for you as it is possible. And for the new students who are there in the class, and if you do not know, every day from Monday to Friday, we have our classes live on YouTube at 6 p.m. sharp. And after the session, I would love for you to comment and let me know what did you like about the class, or which topic you liked about the class the most. This exercise we are going to do every day. Also, if you are new here, please subscribe to the channel and do like the video. All right. So as we have seen that any decision, any policy change, every political institution is required, which is why we need them, so that we can divide the responsibility. When there are a lot of people included in the decision making, for example, in your house, you need to make a decision. Now, your father, mother, your brother, sisters, and your uncle and aunts, all of them are included in the decision. So you can see there will be a lot of debate. There will be some responsibility division. People will delegate the responsibility. And because of this, what will happen is, all of you, when come to one conclusion, that conclusion will be a wise conclusion. That will not be something haste. It will not be arbitrary. So that's what happens when there are a lot of institutions which are at play when making a decision. So institutions help because we can divide responsibilities. They ensure accountability, because if there is one person making entire decision and all the decision, that person can become sort of a tyrant. That person will lose accountability, because when power is concentrated in one hand, it always corrupts. So it will ensure accountability. At the same time, it will prevent misuse of power and continue functioning even when leaders are changed. So because we have three institutions, which is legislature, executive, and judiciary, even when the leaders keep changing, the people keep changing, the institutions are going to stay there. And because of that, their function will remain. So even if leaders change, functioning will continue. Functioning will not stop. And before any decision, there is a lot of consultation involved, because there are a lot of party involved. And this ensures that there is no arbitrary rule. Decision making can be slow, but it cannot be unjust or arbitrary, like we saw in the reservation case. It took a while. In 1990, the government declared that. In the 1990, the government gave that order, memorandum. But the actual implication we saw in 1993. So it took some time, but we know for a fact in 1993 the implementation was done of reservation, and there was an exception of creamy layer, which means that whenever there are a lot of institutions involved in the decision making, the solution or the decision cannot be arbitrary. It is well thought. It is accountable, right? It holds accountability. Okay, next. Next is, now we are going to talk about first organ of the government, first institution, which is Parliament. Okay, the first is Parliament. All right, so if there are any disturbing elements in the class, this is an exercise for you. See, whatever happens in life, there is always a lesson that you can learn. So some of you are complaining that there are some disturbing elements in the class. I can see that. You can see that too. But what we are going to practice is ignoring them. And that will help you in your real life as well. There is a lot of noise in our daily life. And noise is unwanted people, unwanted comments, unwanted situations that keep happening. You need to maintain your calm and posture. You need to maintain your composure so that you can focus on what you need to focus on. So take it as an exercise in this class. There are disturbing elements, but we're not going to be bothered by them. The more attention you give to them, the more power you lose. Keep your power with yourself. All right. Next is Parliament. So let's get started now. This is the first organ. We have just started with the first organ, and we have to finish this chapter in another half an hour. So Parliament is the highest law-making body of India. This is directly related to people. How? Because in Parliament, especially in Lok Sabha, people elect the representatives. People elect the members. So Parliament is the highest law-making body, and its functions are, it makes laws, as we have already seen. It controls the government. How does it control the government? You know for a fact, for any government to stay in power, it needs majority in the Lok Sabha. Otherwise, what will happen if a no confidence motion is passed? What is no confidence motion? The members in the no confidence motion, the members in the Lok Sabha will say, oh, we do not have confidence in this government. This government will not hold majority if there is a voting done today. If that happens and the government does not hold majority, the government falls or collapses. So Parliament, especially Lok Sabha, has the power to collapse the government itself. Government requires majority in Lok Sabha to sustain. Next, controls government money. How? Because we know for a fact that the budget or bills, they have to be approved by houses, both the houses. Especially when we talk about money bill, Lok Sabha has special power in case of money bill. We'll talk about it later. But it controls government money because it approves budgets, it approves taxes and authorizes what expenditure are to be done the next year, what expenditure can be done, how much money, extra money we have. All of this you will study in budget. Next is discussion and debate. Of course, Parliament, we all know the infamous Parliament discussions and debates. So Parliament is important because there are many national policies or government actions or public issues, and all of them, the discussion for all of them takes place in the Parliament. So that is also the function of Parliament. Now there are two houses of the Parliament we have already studied. First is Lok Sabha, second is Rajya Sabha. Lok Sabha is called House of People. Why? Why do you think Lok Sabha is called the House of People? Now this is the answer I need from you. Why is Lok Sabha called the House of People? Yes. What should be the mindset of an IAS? What should be the mindset of a wholesome person, of a wholesome human being? You should focus on that. And the mindset should be, I am going to ignore the noise. I'm going to focus on what is important in my life. I'm going to give power to only the things that will help me in my future. Everything else is just a part of life. It will go away. That is it. Keep your composure. So why do we call Lok Sabha the House of People? Now that's a question for you. Because it is very good. Yes, because we elect them, right? Lok Sabha, the members of Lok Sabha are directly elected by people, which is why we call them House of People. They are directly elected by them. There's a 5-year term. We know for a fact that there are 5-year terms because every 5 years there is election that is held and it can be dissolved. Now Lok Sabha is not a permanent house. Rajya Sabha is a permanent house. It cannot be completely dissolved, but Lok Sabha can be dissolved, and Lok Sabha is more powerful than Rajya Sabha in practice, in practical means. Why do you think Lok Sabha is more powerful? Can anybody tell me? Why do you think Lok Sabha is more powerful? Can you tell me? I just told you that the government is responsible for Lok Sabha. In Lok Sabha, the government needs majority. If there is no majority in Lok Sabha of the government can simply collapse. If Lok Sabha starts, if any of the member, they raise no confidence motion, then government will collapse if it does not have majority. So the fact that government remains in power is dependent on their majority in Lok Sabha, not Rajya Sabha, in Lok Sabha. So Lok Sabha is more powerful. Is that very good, Ramesh? Yes, money bills. I just told you that only Lok Sabha has special power in case of money bills. Only Lok Sabha can introduce and finally decide money bills. Rajya Sabha's advice is just advice. If they want to give any recommendation of money bills, it's just advice, and Lok Sabha may or may not take those recommendations. So the role of Rajya Sabha in case of money bill is titular, not that important, but Lok Sabha is the only house that decides about money bill. So it becomes more powerful. Yes, very good. And the very fact that people elect the members of Lok Sabha, that gives them direct legitimacy, because we live in a democracy, and democracy means, we have already talked about it, for the people, of the people, by the people. We know for a fact in preamble, it says that the authority, the power it receives is from we the people. So because Lok Sabha members are directly elected by the people, it gets legitimacy directly. Yes, very good. Next. Okay, now another question for you. What is the minimum age that you require to be a member of Lok Sabha? That is something you'll answer. Next is Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha is called Council of States. Can anybody tell me why Rajya Sabha is called Council of States? We called Lok Sabha House of People, but we are calling Rajya Sabha Council of States. Why is that? Yes. Why are we calling Rajya Sabha the Council of States? 24. Who's saying 24? 35. Okay. All right, I'll talk about it. Some of you have said, most of you have said 25, some of you have said 24, some of you have said 35. So I'll tell you about this in just a jiffy. Give me 1 minute and I'll tell you about this. Yes, very good. Journey to Infinity. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It is called Council of States because it represents state. It is representative of states and union territories. That is why it is called Council of States. So usually what happens is people elect members of Lok Sabha directly. Then people also elect MLAs, members of Legislative Assembly, and these members of Legislative Assembly elect Rajya Sabha members. So Rajya Sabha members are indirectly elected members, and these are representatives of state. These show that we are going to include states also in the decision making. So Rajya Sabha is called Council of States because it is representative of states and union territories, right? And like I told you, it is, the members are indirectly elected, and this is a permanent house. What does that mean? Lok Sabha can be dissolved, but Rajya Sabha cannot be dissolved. Why? Forget why. What does it mean? Tell me just that. If I say Rajya Sabha cannot be dissolved, Rajya Sabha is a permanent member, what does that mean? Even when fresh elections are being held, because when fresh elections are being held, Lok Sabha members are elected. But in case of Rajya Sabha, all of them do not retire at the same time. 1/3 retire every 2 years, right? In case of Rajya Sabha, listen to this very carefully. In case of Rajya Sabha, 1/3 retire every 2 years. What does that mean? Let's say there are 240 members right now. So 80 members will retire after 2 years. So it's 2026. 80 members will retire in 2028. Then 80 members will retire in 2030. Then 80 members will retire in 2032. So when these 80 members retire, new 80 will come up. So because this happens periodically and only 1/3 of the members retire every 2 years, it is never completely dissolved. The house is permanently present. That is why it is called a permanent house. All right. Next is it represents states, as I've already told you. Yes, very good. Great. Next, Prime Minister. Now we'll talk about Prime Minister. Before we talk about Prime Minister, have you heard about these words? De facto and de jure. De facto and de jure. Have you heard about these words? If you have, please tell me, what does it mean? What is the meaning of these words? Permanent house, 1/3 member. Yes. Okay. So what is the meaning of these words? While you're answering this, we'll move ahead. Prime Minister. Prime Minister is the real head, right? Real head of the government, because Prime Minister actually looks after the day-to-day administration. President is only nominal head. President is the head of the state. President is the head of the state, means head of state means that president or head of state officially represents a state or represents a country, but actual work is done by the Prime Minister in our country. So the word de facto means in fact, in actuality, in practice, and de jure means by law. So by law, de jure term is used for president, head of the state, and de facto, the actual, in fact, the actual person who's taking care of day-to-day activity is the Prime Minister. So if you are asked which is the de jure head, that would be president. De facto head, that would be Prime Minister. Now, as I told you, president is only the nominal head. Whatever appointments happen, they happen after the president gives his assent, which happens after the aid and advice of Council of Ministers. We'll talk about all of these later. So president has power, but that is only nominal power. That is only to titular power, right? That is not the actual power. The actual power is with Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is the real head of the government. What does it do? Prime Minister is appointed by President. It is the leader of majority party or coalition in Lok Sabha. As I told you, that a government comes into picture only after it has majority in the Lok Sabha. Now, a party alone can have majority. If a party alone does not have majority, it combines, it has a coalition government where it combines with another party to enjoy majority. But majority is required in Lok Sabha for a government to come into picture. If there is no party that has majority, then in that case, president appoints the person who president thinks is most likely to have majority support. So this is very important for a government to come into picture, majority support from Lok Sabha is absolutely required. Yes. Very good. I'm so glad all of you, most of you actually know. Next is Prime Minister remains in the office as long as majority support continues. This I have already explained, that the government stays in power as long as it has majority in the Lok Sabha. Next, I asked you a question, what is the minimum age that should be there for Lok Sabha members? And some of you said 25, some of you said 24, some of you said 35. So let me give you a small trick. Whenever people are electing, the minimum age is 25. I repeat, whenever people are electing the members, minimum age is 25. In Lok Sabha, people elect them, right? In Lok Sabha, people elect them, so minimum age will be 25. Similarly, when we talk about MLAs, Member of Legislative Assembly, yes, in case of MLAs or Member of Legislative Assembly, they are also elected by people. So in that case also, minimum age would be 25. Right? Whenever people are electing, the minimum age is 25. Yes, very good. You can just answer once, Dhruv. I will get the answer, don't worry. For Rajya Sabha, meaning for states, Rajya Sabha is representative of the states. For states, we need 30. Right? Wherever people are electing, we need the minimum age as 25. For Rajya Sabha or the states, we need 30. And for higher constitutional offices mean president, vice president or governor. In case of president, vice president or governor, here we require 35 as the minimum age. Now my question to you is, for prime minister, what could be the minimum age for somebody to become a prime minister, for somebody to be eligible to be prime minister? What should be the minimum age? Listen to the question very carefully. What should be the minimum age for a person to become prime minister? All right, next. There are some of the new students. For those of you who are new, let me just reiterate. Every day, Monday to Friday at 6 p.m, we have our classes, live sessions of NCERT. We'll be covering every NCERT that's important for your examination point of view. And yes, please do like the session if you like the session. And if you have any questions after the session also, you can always comment them in the comment section below. I read them myself. Great. Next, let's talk about Council of Ministers. Now, what are Council of Ministers? What is this Council of Ministers? Council of Ministers is appointed by President. See, the power of President is most of the appointments are done by President. But there is a trick here, and that trick is President does the appointment, but most of the appointment are done after the aid and advice of Council of Ministers. So what is Council of Ministers? First of all, Council of Ministers is appointed by President on Prime Minister's advice. Council of Ministers has certain important ministers. Understand it like that. In Council of Ministers, there can be cabinet ministers. Now, what are cabinet ministers? Cabinet ministers are the most important ministers, most important ministry positions that members have. Cabinet ministers. Think of it as government's core decision-making team. This is the government's core decision-making team. Right. What does that mean? Here will be senior ministers, all the head important ministers, and they take major decisions like Home Affairs ministers, Minister of External Affairs, Finance ministers, Education ministers, all the important ministry. The head of those ministries will be there in the cabinet ministers. They are the core decision making of a government. They do the core decision making of the government. Next is Minister of State. Now, in Minister of State, there are two kinds of minister. One is that has independent charge, and the one that assists these cabinet ministers. The one that have independent charge, they head smaller ministries, right? In Minister of State, there can be two types. One that have smaller ministries and they head those ministries. Second, who do not head any ministry but they assist these cabinet ministers, right? And one, the cabinet ministers make any decision whatsoever that will be binding on all the ministers. So I repeat, listen to it very, very carefully. Ma'am, is there any way to get printed notes? I don't think so, Srinivas. I'm sorry, I don't think so. But you can make your notes. I'll tell you how to make your notes. So Council of Ministers appointed by President on the advice of Prime Minister. In Council of Ministers, there is something called Cabinet Ministers, which is the government's core decision-making body. Every important ministry, the head of every important ministry is a part of this Cabinet Ministers. And the decision of Cabinet Minister is usually binding on all the other ministers. Then there are Minister of States, those who have independent charge. They have some smaller ministries and they are head of those. Then there are Minister of States who are not head of any ministry, but they assist these cabinet ministers. Next, powers of Prime Minister. See, these are very general power that is written here. Of course, this is not in depth because in NCERT we do not have these chapters in depth. So you can read it once. For example, Prime Minister, what will be the power? He will be ruling. He will be the head of ruling party, right? He leads the ruling party. He leads the parliament. He can dismiss minister, of course, and he advises president. In fact, in most of the cases, in most of the things, there is always a term written which is aid and advice of Council of Ministers. And Council of Ministers is important ministers with head as Prime Minister. So Prime Minister advises President, resolves disputes, he allocates portfolios, which ministry will be headed by which minister. So that then coordinates ministers and chairs cabinet meetings, heads cabinets. So these are very general sort of power that is given here. I'm sure you can even guess most of it. Not very important for us for now. Now, if Prime Minister resigns, what happens if Prime Minister resigns? Now, we know that Council of Ministers is headed by Prime Minister. If the head has resigned, what will happen? The body will fall off as well. So if the Prime Minister resigns, the entire Council of Ministers also resigns. This is the important part that you should keep in mind. If the Prime Minister resigns, the Council of Ministers also resigns. President, it's every country has somebody who will be the face of the country, right? So President, who is the head of the state, is the official face of our country. You can understand it like that. In prime ministerial government, this is how it happens. So we will talk about prime ministerial government and presidential government. In presidential government, the president itself is both head of the state and head of the government. But in prime ministerial government, what happens? For official face, we use head of the state, which is the president. And for functioning, we use prime minister, which is the head of the government. Yes. Next, coalition government, we have already talked about it. When there is no party in majority, what will happen? Two or more parties form a coalition. And in this case, government is formed. Because in any case, for a government to form, majority is required. Whether the majority can be acquired by one party, if it is not, then in that case, multiple parties usually come together and form the majority. Next, president. We have already talked about it, but let's quickly sum it up. He's the head of the state, nominal executive, as I told you, just for the namesake. He'll be doing everything but on the aid and advice of Council of Ministers. Then he is elected indirectly by MPs and MLAs. Now see, this part, of course, in NCERT it is not given in detail. There is a electoral college. There are certain members in examination that is also asked who are the members of electoral college in the elections of a president. So maybe we'll have those chapters further in class 10th or class 11th polity. As and when we get there, I will explain that to you as well. But for now, because in NCERT 9th class it is not there, I'm going to stick to NCERTs, okay? Just remember this term. President of India is elected by a system of proportional representation by means of single transferable vote. I know it sounds like a very long, tedious term. It is very easy actually. I will explain it to you in some other class. But for now, just remember this system of proportional representation by means of single transferable vote, and this is done by secret ballot, right? This is done by secret ballot. Next is, when we talk about president is elected by a college which is made up by elected MPs and elected MLAs. When we talk about Rajya Sabha MPs, then we use only elected MLAs. That means on the state level, we elected some member of Legislative Assembly. Those member of Legislative Assembly then elect Rajya Sabha MPs. But why I have written it here is because the method is same for both of them, which is proportional representation by single transferable vote in both of them. So you have to remember, in case of elections of president, the method is proportional representation by single transferable vote. At the same time, for member of Legislative Assembly, which happens at the state level, also it is the same, proportional representation by single transferable vote. I hope there are no questions so far from here. One vote can transfer to another candidate. It happens something like that. The process is a little tedious, but I'm sure in future, in any other class, if it comes up, I will explain it to you in the class itself. So I hope up until now, everything is clear to you. Whatever I've taught you, whatever is there in this chapter, I hope it is clear to you. Next, it says Powers of president, as I told you, most of the appointments, almost all of the appointments are done by president, but it is done on the aid and advice of Council of Ministers, right? Then it can ask government to reconsider advice. Okay, so what happens in case of ordinary bill, as I told you, that bills have to be passed by both the houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Then it goes for president's assent. President has to say yes to that. Now, president can send it back saying you should reconsider some of these points or you should reconsider it. President can do that once. If the house has passed it again and send it back to the president, in that case, president is bound to accept it, right? So let's say there is a bill which was passed by both the houses, an ordinary bill. Then it is sent to president for his assent. President can send it once back to the house saying, oh, I do not like some of these, or you should make some changes in these provisions. Now the house will ponder on it. They can make those changes, or they would not want to make those changes, so they won't. Then when the second time they send it for the president's assent, the president has to give his assent. Now this method of one time sending back of the bill by the president to the houses is called suspensive veto. And then there are veto powers, which again is not there in your chapter, but we will talk about them as and when we get there. So I hope this is clear. This also comes in the powers of the president, that power, the president can ask government to reconsider a bill. When it comes back to the president for his assent the second time, then he has to say yes. Suspensive veto. Next is parliamentary versus presidential system. As I told you, in parliamentary system, prime minister is the real executive and president is the face of the country. So he is the head of the state. Prime minister is the head of the government. He takes care of the day-to-day activities, day-to-day administration. Government is responsible to the parliament. We have already seen that, right? The government needs to have majority in Lok Sabha and can be removed by Lok Sabha by passing no confidence motion. We have already seen all these things. When it comes to presidential system, which is there in USA, president is both the head of the state and the government. So the president is the face of the country, as well as he looks after the administration, day-to-day administration. So he is both the head of the state and the head of the government. He is directly elected, he has a fixed tenure, and he is not responsible to legislature in any way, in the same way as parliamentary system, as in the parliamentary system. So these are the basic differences between parliamentary system and presidential system. Now again, it is not in too much depth because in NCERT there is only so much that is given. Yes. Ma'am, what is the reason for election in Rajya Sabha MPs and beta, what you've, I think there is a typing mistake because I don't really understand what you've written after that. Instead, there is, they use same bill is debated in both the houses. Which, no, see, if you are saying, I think I get your question. If I don't, you can write it again. If you are saying that what is the point of debating about the same bill in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha both, the point is, Lok Sabha is representative of the people, Rajya Sabha is representative of the states. So who will you ignore? Are you going to say that because people have chosen, because people have elected Lok Sabha members, if whatever they pass should be the law, then what about the states? States also have some power and they have their representation. Every state has a different idea, right? So if you're saying that only Lok Sabha should have the power and not Rajya Sabha because this debate is a waste of time, it is not. Both are fulfilling different functions. One is representing people, other is representing states, right? That is why it is important to be debated in both the houses. Okay. Ma'am, about the PDF, actually I'm not sure about the PDF. I'll confirm once and then I'll let you know in tomorrow's session. And again, there are some of you who are new. For all the new students, we have our session live daily every day at 6 p.m. from Monday to Friday. And if you like the session, do like the session. And after the class, I would love for you to comment. And I will give you, actually, I'll give you a question. And I want answers from all of you, especially the students who are regular in the class. Because like I said, my only purpose is to make you start thinking for yourself. If I'm able to do that, I think I will succeed as a teacher. If I'm not able to do that, I will consider myself a failure. I need you to start thinking for yourself. So I'll give you a question and I would love for all of you to answer that, but at the end of the session. Let's continue. Yes, and finally the third part, which is judiciary. Judiciary is important because it protects the constitution. Like I told you, whatever laws are made and implemented, judiciary makes sure that those laws are in alignment with the constitution. They are not unconstitutional. If any of them are unconstitutional, the judiciary declares it void, null and void. So, and if there are disputes, then again judiciary comes into picture. It delivers justice. This is why it is important. When we talk about the structure of judiciary in India, it has two important features, which is one is integrated and the other is independent. Integrated and independent. Indian judiciary is both integrated and independent. What does that mean? Integrated is related to each other, right? So if you look at the structure of judiciary, Supreme Court is the apex court, after that is high courts, after that is district court, and after that is lower courts. So if you're going to make an appeal, you can make an appeal in lower courts for general matters. If you're not satisfied with it, you can go to district court. If you're not satisfied with it, you can go to high courts. If you're not satisfied with it, you can again appeal in the Supreme Court. And whatever Supreme Court decides is binding on all the courts. So they are integrated. Unless, of course, you're talking about fundamental rights. In case of violation of fundamental rights, you can directly approach Supreme Court and use writ petition. Okay, so it is integrated structure. They're all related to each other. At the same time, judiciary is independent of other organs. Other organs, which is legislature and executive, cannot interfere with matters of judiciary. Judiciary has to be independent so that it can ensure justice. If the legislature or executive keeps interfering with judiciary, or they put pressure on judiciary, judiciary will not be able to deliver justice. So it has to be independent. So if we look at Indian judiciary, it is integrated and independent. I hope this is clear to all of you. Powers of judiciary, I'm sure you can easily understand all of this. It interprets constitution, protects fundamental rights. Any dispute of any caliber, whether it is between citizen and government, states, union and states, all of them are settled by the judiciary. Then it hears appeals from High Court. Like I told you, if you are not satisfied with High Court verdict, you can simply go to Supreme Court. You can challenge it in the Supreme Court. Next, if there is any unconstitutional law, Supreme Court or judiciary in general is going to declare it void, unconstitutional, invalid or void. This is called judicial review. And judicial review is a part of basic structure of our constitution. Very important. Basic structure we talked about in, I think, first or second class. So I hope you know this. Thank you so much, Divakar. Yes, I really appreciate that you liked the session. All of you, in fact. I always try to make this session as simple as I can, especially for beginners. So I am grateful that you guys comment so beautifully on my videos and you're able to understand them. Next is public interest litigation. So you must have heard about PIL. PILs are done when in PIL, whenever somebody thinks that the public interest is harmed or government is misusing the power or human rights are violated, in any of these cases, any citizen can approach the court, right? If any citizen feels like public interest is harmed or government is misusing the power or human rights are violated in any way, they can simply approach the court using PIL, which is public interest litigation, and courts, of course, will intervene in this matter to ensure justice and public welfare. That is PIL. Now, these are some of the pointers I've added at the end just to revise what we have studied. We still have some time. First is, there are three organs of the government. We have already talked about it, which is legislature, executive and judiciary. Then we know 27% OBC reservation came through Mandal Commission recommendation. And in 1992, there was Indra Sahni case. Creamy layer was added in this, right? That the people from creamy layer in OBCs will not get the reservation. They are the people who are already wealthy. Next, Lok Sabha is more powerful than Rajya Sabha. We have already seen that because it controls money. It ensures that the government is in power. It can remove government and it has greater strength in general also. So sometimes what happens, let's say there is a bill that has to be passed from Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Now, due to some reason, it is not passed by one of the houses. So there will be joint. Now, joint sitting does not happen in every bill, but in some bills this happens. So in case of joint sitting, what will happen? All the members of Lok Sabha will be there, all the members of Rajya Sabha will be there, and then they will vote on that particular matter. Now, because the sheer number of Lok Sabha is larger than Rajya Sabha, overall Lok Sabha is going to sort of dominate in this. So let's say in Lok Sabha there are 10 people, in Rajya Sabha there are 5 people, and they're not able to come to a conclusion, a consensus. Then there will be joint sitting. Now there are 15 people, but out of those 15 people, 10 are from Lok Sabha. So of course, when the sheer number is greater than Rajya Sabha, in joint sitting, Lok Sabha is going to dominate. So of course, it is more powerful because in joint sitting also it has greater strength. Then Lok Sabha members are directly elected by people. So they get power directly from people. So of course, it is more powerful. Then we have seen Prime Minister is the real executive. Who is the nominal executive? President. President is the nominal executive and usually acts on the aid and advice of Council of Ministers. Cabinet, as we have seen, Cabinet Ministers is the core decision-making part or body of the government. Judiciary is independent and judiciary is also integrated. Then judicial review, I've told you, judicial review allows the government to strike down any law that is unconstitutional, and judicial review is a part of basic structure of constitution. Now, public interest litigation, it enables citizens to seek justice for anyone in general if they feel like human rights are violated or any matter which affects the public in general. Then institutions make democracy effective. Why? Because the powers are delegated, the powers are, responsibilities are shared, there is more accountability, and it helps in checks and balance, like judiciary helps in checks and balance, that the government cannot misuse the power, otherwise judiciary will come into picture. So these institutions make sure that democracy remains effective. Democracy does not turn into tyranny or autocracy, right? Now you have a prelims question. Let's quickly do this. Beta, I've already made the session a little longer. It's supposed to be 6 to 6:45 and we usually finish our lecture in around 1 hour. It takes 1 hour, but I'll see what I can do. For now, let's solve the question. It says, consider the following statements regarding the Parliament of India. First, the President is a part of Parliament. Second, a bill generally becomes law only after receiving President's assent. Third, the President participates in debates in both the houses of the Parliament. Which of these is right? That you have to answer, but you don't have to answer right now. I want the answer in the comment section because I also want an explanation. If you say that one of these is wrong, you'll have to tell me why that is wrong. Okay? So you will answer this in the comment section. I will be waiting for you. And the second question that you have to answer is this. Now what we'll do is, moving forward, in some of the sessions, I will tell you how to answer a question in the classroom itself. For some of them, I'll give you as homework and you'll write the framework that in introduction, this should be the introduction, just the bullet points, just the words. In body, you have to write these points. In conclusion, you have to write this point. I want the framework from all of you. So in some of the sessions, we'll discuss that in the class. In some of the sessions, I want you to answer yourself by thinking about it. And you need to give me the framework in the comment section. So for that, mains practice question is this. You have to answer in the comment section. You just have to give me the framework. You don't have to write the entire model answer, just the framework. And then in tomorrow's session, after reading your comments, I will let you know what the framework should be like and how many of you got it correctly. Okay. The question says, political institutions are the foundation of a successful democracy because they ensure accountability, prevent concentration of power, and uphold the rule of law. Discuss with reference to Indian political system. This question, you take your time. There is no hurry. Take around 15-20 minutes. Think about it. We have discussed all these parts, how these institutions ensure accountability, how they prevent concentration of power, and what organ do we have to uphold the rule of law. We have studied all of these in our session. So take your time and then give me the framework of this in the comment section. I will go through your comments, and in tomorrow's session, I'll tell you which one of you got really close to the answer and what the framework should look like. So if you have any questions, you can shoot now. I'll answer your questions. And for those of you who are new and just entering the class right now, we have this session everyday live at 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. Monday to Friday. Do you have any questions? Ma'am, it is, no, it is not. See, the point is, initially there is a lot of hesitation. You know why writing is important? I'll just tell you in few seconds and then we'll end the session. Writing is extremely important because it streamlines what you think. See, when you're thinking, there are 10 branches happening at the same time. But when you start writing, you understand what actually you should be thinking. And that is why it is very important to write and very difficult to write. And it's not just about this answer writing. In your life also, if you ever feel like there's a lot of chaos and you don't understand what you're supposed to do, you don't understand what is happening, start writing it. Once you write things, you start thinking. By the time you're only thinking, it is only chaos. Nothing fruitful is going to happen. Once you start writing them, you start streamlining your thoughts, and then that's how you start critical thinking also. So initially, it's going to be a little difficult to write the answer. Don't worry. It's going to take a lot of time. Don't worry. After a few sessions of the practice of that, it will become easier. It will keep getting easier the more you practice. So do not leave it. Do not let fear overpower. Thank you so much. How to make notes? Yes, see, for NCERTs, largely do not make notes. If you want to make notes, the note should be something like this. I'll tell you. So let's say we started here. We started here. If you wanted to make the notes of this chapter, topic, working of institutions, 3 types of institutions, legislature, executive, judiciary, do not write this. This is something you should know by heart when you're making notes for NCERTs. This is why 2 or 3 reading is important, so that you already understand basics and then you only write the bullet points. So I've just written this, right? And then the next page should look like this. This is only for understanding, so that is not important. Here the important point is Mandal Commission came up with reservation case, 27% reservation in central government, and especially the Indira Sahani case. So you only write Indira Sahani versus Union of India. Indira Sahani case, that's it. Here anything else is not important. Mandal Commission, Indira Sahani case, 27% reservation for OBCs, and the creamy layer. Only write the bullet points. Once you have understood, you just write bullet points, and when you reread it, you will understand. You will remember everything. That is called recalling. This is not important. Only this part, Mandal Commission part, yeah. Indira Sahani versus Union of India judgment. This is only important. Then again, you can see all of this is just for understanding. Whatever part is for understanding, you will not write it down. Otherwise, you'll have bulky notes and you will not be able to revise it during examination. Only write the bullet points. That you can do after you have understood the chapter and after you have read it once after understanding the chapter, so that you remember some of it. Now you understand? Whenever you make notes, just write the bullet points, and this is very essential that you do not make notes when you're reading the chapter for the first time. At least you have read it for 2 times, you have read it 2 times, you have attended a session, then start making notes. Okay? Yes, thank you so much everyone. That's it for today's session. I really hope you enjoyed the lecture. If you did, please give a thumbs up or like the session after the class. And those 2 questions, the prelims practice question and the mains practice question framework, I expect all of you to answer in the comment section. I'll see you tomorrow, 6 p.m. sharp, again right here. Thank you so much for joining in. Until next time, take care.